Have you covered all 50 states?
I did. I did it in 8 months.
I don't know if I asked this question, but I'm gonna re-ask it. How long do you stay in each state again?
It depended. Some states I would be there for a few days. So I got a fair amount of media interest in my journey. And so if I had like a TV interview, that might have changed the time I was in the state. So some states, I think the longest I was in, maybe it was Denver, Colorado for 3 days. Sometimes, especially in the South where it's easy to drive to other states, I would be there for half a day. I've had like New Jersey and Pennsylvania. I was breakfast at one place and dinner at another.
Which 3 states and which 3 people outside of the lady here in Indiana, which I know she's number 1 on the list, was the most impactful that left you speechless to this day? You heard so many stories.
Yeah, it's interesting. I get asked that question, and usually they only give me a choice of one state. But I always say it's really hard for me to say because the whole project and experience wouldn't have been the same if one person was not in it. And what happened was as I was traveling, instead of being individual people, it was almost as if I was listening and talking to one teacher, just the face and the voice changed. And it was almost as if the conversation that would say it would be the exact thing I needed to hear, going from one person to the next. An example is I had an experience where a woman had said something. And I thought, man, I should have spoken up. I should have said something. I thought she stereotyped. And I thought I should have spoken up. And I was kind of kicking myself for not doing that. And I met another woman the next day, and I was bringing this up to her that, man, I had this situation. And she said to me, and I guess it's a Buddhist saying that when the student's ready, the teacher will come. And and she wasn't ready for you. And this woman was right. The other woman that I didn't speak up to, she and I have now become good friends. And now I could say what I wanted to say then, and it would come from a place of trust. And we could have these difficult conversations. If I had said something at that meal, she would have shut down and we wouldn't have communicated and had this beautiful friendship that we do now.
What do you think is the common thread? Because at the end of the day, 50 women,
Hmm.
what's the common thread with every one of them when you did your final analysis when you went home?
Yeah. So, these were organic conversations. And I didn't realize this until I was writing the book that the one question I kept asking is, where feels like home? And that's when I realized this is what I'd been searching for, a place that feels like home. And the common thread, the thing I learned is most people make choices because of who they love versus who they hate. And when I understood that, it made it a lot easier for me to have conversations with people who don't necessarily believe the way I do, don't necessarily vote the way I do, or things like that. Doesn't mean I agree with them, but I at least can understand now where they come from. And I could talk to them from a spirit of love, even though we might be totally opposites on what we agree, whether it's religious or political views, any of that. Most people, I think, do things because of those that they love as opposed to those they hate.
Do you think that women have a tendency to perform that task a lot better than men?
That's no, actually, honestly. I haven't sat down with 50 men, but now that I'm single, maybe I should. But I don't necessarily think so, but maybe women voice it differently. I mean, they talk more about their feelings and why they're doing things, and it's not as much of a fight, I guess.
So what's next for you?
Yeah.
What's the next mission for you?
Well, I've created a retreat here in the Dallas area for women. It's a 3-day retreat and I call everything Flip the Box now. My whole brand now is Flip the Box. And I like to say, while most retreats take you away, this one brings you home. And the idea of this is chiseling away at the stories that aren't ours. Right. Because we live, our parents told us, the society has told us how to live. Like I said, I used to be a checklist person. What's my story? And that's what this retreat is about, is helping women find out who they are, what their story is, and stop living other people's stories.
I wish you'd do a retreat like that for guys, because I think we men suffer from that same mindset too. We may not admit it, but let's call it what it is, that we suffer from that
There's
same
so
stuff
much
too.
pressure on guys. I think there's so much pressure on guys. I even I got a new doctor over here and had to go through my first visit. They had this test where like a squeeze test. I forgot what they call it, grip test to see how, and wasn't a big deal to me. And this woman said, the nurse said, man, you used to see when guys come in here, you would think that they were competing against somebody with that grip test, and just to get that number. But I think that's what society puts so much pressure on men to, be the best, be on top, to whatever a man is supposed to be. So I agree with you. I think a lot of men don't know what their own story is because they're living up to these expectations that they believe that they have to live up to be a man.